Hi everybody. Wanted to make another tutorial video on just learning chord changes. Some of you have asked, "Well, how do you do the chord changes quickly and efficiently? And how do you get your fingers used to the fretboard?" So I wanted to share a couple tips with you on things that have helped me. I'm not a music teacher by any means, and I don't understand music theory that well. But just a few tips that have helped me learn, get better at chord changes. Number one, when you're whatever key that you're playing in, so let's take the key of C because that's the easiest. Um, if you're playing in that key, you want to get you know good at making the chord changes in that key. So take the key of C. We know that in C, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back to C. So those are the notes in that octave. So every note has a chord that corresponds to that note. So in the scale of C, for example, um, your your chords that correspond to those notes are C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished, and C. So what I'll do is, whatever key that I'm trying to learn for a song, I'll practice those chords over and over again until they become fluid for me, easy, without even having to look at them. So go through that again: C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished, and C. And then practice it backwards: C, B diminished, A minor, G, F, E minor, D minor, and C. And you can hear it just like the it's and then back one. So practice those shapes like that over and over again, and your hands will get used to making those chord changes. And then whatever order that they're in, it really doesn't make that big of a difference because your fingers, your hand will automatically, your muscles will automatically be able to make those shapes. The other thing that I do is I try to find um, those same chords on different locations on the fretboard. So if just now we were practicing down here, sort of on these four frets, but what about variations of those, where you can find variations up your fretboard? And a good resource to find variations of chords is on guitar tabs. You'll see in songs, if you click on a note or a chord, it'll show the basic chord shape up here typically, but then you can look at variations of that going up your fretboard. So for example, variations of these chords that we just played for our C scale would be C. You can play it just like a B, but moving up. This is kind of a universal chord shape that goes all the way up your fretboard based on the A string. So this is your B note here, which makes the B chord. You can hear that note ring out, that root note there. If we just slide that up to our C note, now we have our C. And the same applies, we can pull it up to our D note, and then we have a variation of D. And remember, in the C scale, it's basically covering all of your major notes. So A, B, C, D, E, F. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, over and over again. So all those majors. It doesn't have any minors in the melody itself, or sharps or anything like flats, anything like that. Sharps or flats, I should say. So, because it does have minors. But anyway, so C, D minor, here's a variation. E minor. So far we have C, D minor, E minor. You can play your F down here. That's just like your E, but moving up one. Or you can play your F here. So that's just like your C or your D. Your C is here. Your D is here. E, F, G, A. So in that C scale, C, D minor, E minor, F, G, or we can play G here, A minor, that's just like our G minor, but we're moving up to here for your A note. You can move that up to here too, B minor. So those are all just variations of chord shapes that we're just taking up the fretboard. If you experiment with, you'll figure it out. But I'm getting off track there. So C, D minor, E minor, F, G, or G, A minor, or this A minor, which is just like an E minor, but up here. And we'll skip over the diminished because they become a little more complicated, and then back to C. And then you can practice that going back down as well. So that helps not only with the chords, but then you start to figure out, okay, I can play these different notes as well, because if this is a C shape, it's covering all four of my strings, I can play all those notes in there. So my C was down here, my normal C, but I can play this C here, all those different notes. I can play this C up here, or this C up here. And so then it opens up a whole new world of melody as well that you're able to play up and down your fretboard. Now, one of the things that's really helped me in learning these things is to learn songs that actually apply the various scales. So, for example, for the C scale, there are a couple songs that have been key for me. Canon in C, that's a great song to practice your C scale. That's the one that goes. And then and so on and so forth. But it puts in scales in there, like you have up here, you have your G scale in C. So it's a slight, it's kind of like the G scale. But instead of going, you're going. So and so on and so forth. So all that, you're practicing your C scale, and you're learning these chords and melodies all up and down your fretboard, and it helps your fingers to get used to that. I'll include a link in the description below to a version of Canon in C that is, it's not super easy, but it's relatively easy, and it allows you to get used to playing chords and melodies all up and down your fretboard in the key of C. It's great practice. Another great song for learning the key of C chords and melodies is Heart and Soul. So the old. And while you're learning this, you're also practicing, inside out picking patterns for your right hand, as well as incorporating the strumming techniques. So that one, Heart and Soul, in the key of C, you can practice it over on, or you can learn it over on Ukulele Underground. That is a fantastic resource for learning the ukulele. In fact, if you're serious about really learning this little instrument, in my opinion, that's the place to go. The teachers over there are fantastic. Aldrin Guerrero is super helpful. You can get one-on-one lessons with him, and you can really learn how to play this instrument over there. But going back to that C scale, it's so all up and down your fretboard, you're practicing that C scale. And so learning songs like that, it takes the exercise out of it and just allows you to have fun with the song. So hopefully, this is probably quite a bit of information, but hopefully it gives you a chunk to work on. You can take little sections at a time, starting off with learning, the variations of your C scale with the chords there, and then working up the fretboard, working on the scale itself. And I've included a couple other exercise videos for learning that C scale and variations of that scale up your fretboard. So that same, for the D or the E or the F. So let me know if you have any questions on this, but hopefully this helps some of you out in getting more used to the chord changes and getting that muscle memory set up for melody up and down your fretboard.